We are super happy today to have Marni Foderaro. Marni is the author of the book, God Came to My Garage Sale. So, Marni, welcome to Uncut with Lucia.
Well, thank you, Lucia. Thank you for having me on this wonderful World Authors podcast.
It's my pleasure. I was looking forward to talking with you. And Marni, your book title is very catchy. So can you tell us what is the idea about your book?
Sure. Here is my book. It's called God Came to My Garage Sale. And it was a book that almost wrote itself because I was going through kind of a challenging time in my life where, I lost everything. I lost my home to foreclosure. I left an abusive, marriage. I lost my money. I even lost an adult child to parental alienation. I had some challenges, some life challenges. But I always handled challenges with love and goodness and positivity. And but reality set in, and I did have to have a garage sale. I needed to try to unload, the hopes and dreams and material stuff that I had collected over a 27-year marriage. And so I had a garage sale, but at this garage sale, one miracle after another happened that made me, as an atheist, my upbringing is not a believer in God or spirituality or anything, but it made me question, did God come to my garage sale? And so many different experiences happened. And then over a course of a couple years, other experiences happened. And I did a lot of research on spirituality and listening to others who had had near-death experiences. And just, I wanted to learn. I wanted to be open. And when I did that, even more experiences happened to me. And I just felt compelled to put it down in a book. I made it a spiritual fiction so I could play around with it. But it sure was inspired by true experiences. So that is my first book, called God Came to My Garage Sale. And it's endorsed by an amazing author, James Redfield, who wrote the Celestine Prophecy and the 10th Insight. He's pretty famous. I had met him in Chicago, where I spent most of my life, in the Chicago suburbs. And I had just finished writing my book, and I had gone to one of his seminars with the Celestine Vision, because even though he has written these amazing books, he continues to tour and have conversations with people about, fulfilling their dreams and being aware to signs and synchronicities. And I asked him if he would consider endorsing my book. And, he was very kind and said, I really have a lot going on and I really don't endorse other people. But I said, well, please take my manuscript and just enjoy it, if you're on a plane or if you have time to take a look at it. Well, 2 or 3 months later, he called me up and said, I read your book and I am endorsing you. And that was amazing. And then after that, I had other people, famous celebrities, come forward to endorse me as well. And so that was just confirmation to know that my book resonated with some people, and that, especially in this day and age with everything that's going on, it's very important to be open to signs and synchronicities to give us hope that, there's more divine intervention going on here than we even know.
Yes. And Marni, you always want to be a writer. You wrote before, because I know your background is being a teacher. Yeah.
Right. I guess I always had a book in me. I'm someone who experiences different situations and say, boy, I would love to write about that. There are other people that experience situations and want to create a piece of artwork to show their, connection with their experiences. People do all different things, but I have just found the written word has been very therapeutic and healing for me. It helps me, sort through my thoughts and experiences and helps me put order to things. And it's been exciting that it's been well received. Not only have I written this book, but in the last year and a half, I've co-authored 4 other bestsellers. They are anthology books. And so and these are nonfiction, so they're real stories, where I talk about going from an atheist to a believer, or I talk about handling life's challenges with honesty and goodness, or surviving domestic violence. I'll write about that. Or I'm even in a dog book called The Ultimate Book for Dog Lovers, where I write about a doggy divorce from the dog's perspective. But even though it's a heavy, serious topic, because a lot of people don't even consider their pets when, there is a divorce in the family, I try to make it lighthearted with a lot of puns and play on words. And so I've really enjoyed writing, and it's opened up a lot of doors. In fact, we're still in May here, May 2021. I have an article, a guest article featured in Eden magazine. So it's a pretty major magazine with Mariel Hemingway on the cover. And I have a story in there where I do talk about paying attention to signs and synchronicities. So, in my case, I experienced something and was compelled to write. And many of your viewers and listeners have experienced many different things and maybe don't know what to do with it. And I would suggest writing about it. And before you know it, if this is something that you're interested in, you could also be a published author and get your story out there.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And Marni, how do you start building your characters? For example, you start with their personality. What tip you give for new writers? Not only characters, but also the plot.
Okay, the plot and actually, there are many. I'm still taking classes on writing, so there's many different. There's a lot of advice out there for up and coming writers. And depending on your genre, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, mystery, romance, children's books, whatever, there's many different ways to approach it. And so I don't know that I have like the advice that would be for everyone, but I can tell you what worked for me. First of all, I experienced some of these things. So I knew I wanted to write about certain things. And one approach that I do, this is something that's worked for me. I will actually plan out a table of contents before I do anything. This is very different than what a lot of other people might do. So in my case, I wanted my story to have 13 different vignettes or small stories in them. So I planned out my table of contents. I decided, what experiences do I want to talk about? And in my book, I talk about a dragonfly experience, or I talk about an experience finding pennies, or finding feathers. I talk about an experience where I had a dream visitation. I remember a couple people that came to the garage sale, and I talk about those. So basically how I organize is I sort of lay out a table of contents of what are the topics I want to talk about. Then I switch them around and I organize them in a nice flow. And then I go out to the dollar store and I pick up however many chapters it is. I pick up a spiral for each chapter. And so what I do is I take notes, and if thoughts come to me, if phrases come to me, or if I even want to free write and write a whole chapter, I do that in the spiral for each of the chapters. And then I also reevaluate, do I want to change the order of things again? So basically, I like to have structure and order, because that helps me get my thoughts together, and it gives me something tangible to, to work with. So like if I wanted to work with the dragonfly chapter, I would find that spiral notebook, and I would put all the thoughts and ideas that I had for that topic in that one spiral. So that's kind of how I started off with my particular book. And like I said, different books are handled different ways because of the genre of it, where in my case, each chapter stands alone. You don't really have to read the chapter before to understand the next chapter. In fact, my book is set up in a way that it's almost, easy reading for very busy people. Like they could start reading it and put it down for a week or a month and pick it back up and be fine to go to the next chapter. And not all books are structured that way.
I understand.
So organization is something that has really helped me in deciding, for this particular book, deciding how I would put this together. And if I have other books, I'm actually working on 4 books simultaneously right now.
Oh.
And one of the books, well, 2 of the books are poetry books. I'm really enjoying the freedom of writing poetry. And this is new for me. So I've attended some workshops. I've done a lot of research and reading on it, but the bottom line is, it's whatever you want to create. So I'm, of course, structuring those books much differently than I do this book. So, but I do find that I write every day. Sometimes I write the minute I wake up, before my cup of coffee. I'm busy writing. Sometimes I get started on my day and then I decide to take a little bit of a break, which really isn't a break because I'm writing. And so I do try to write a little bit each day. I don't always do it, but I try to.
And what inspires you to write like every day?
It's just an inner drive. It just gives me a sense of purpose. I mean, I am at a phase in my life where I'm retired. I was a high school teacher for 35 years, and 12 of those years, I was a university adjunct professor. So I was very, very busy working. And then actually earlier, I was raising a family. I was working on an advanced degree. I was volunteering for worthwhile organizations. I was, a room mom at my children's school. I mean, I was just really busy. So during that time, even though I had ideas, I probably wasn't inspired to write every day because I was busy with life. And all of us get very busy with life. And I find that, we all have time for what is important to us. We make time for what is important to us. And what was important to me for many, many years was just raising my 2 beautiful children. Even though I worked full time and did a lot of other things, my children were my priority, and my children are my priority too now, but I do have more time on my hands. So I'm inspired to write. But I'm also I live in the Caribbean. So I'm surrounded by the ocean. I'm surrounded by nature and all its beauty. Today we have a beautiful sunny day. And as you can see, I took a picture of our sunset. So, it's just gorgeous. Yesterday we had storms. We had just, rain like you would not believe it, and the wind blowing a lot. So it's even though I don't have the seasons like winter, spring, summer, fall, like I did in the Chicago suburbs, which I loved and everything, we do have different seasons in a way here. And our days, we really don't know what to expect each day. And it's just beautiful. So I take a lot of time, to spend time in nature, and I force myself to relax. And writing just is very enjoyable for me right now. So I get these ideas and I want to put them down on paper. And what's neat about writing is you can change it and re-edit it and, move things around. You can work on, one sentence or one paragraph for a week by just, tweaking it and changing it. And so it's fun for me.
Have these in common?
Yeah.
How was the publishing process?
That is a wonderful question, especially for this World Author stage, because there's so many different ways people publish. And, the days of being able to get an agent and pitch your story to a publisher, a big publishing house, and get an advance and a contract and all of that, in this day and age with all the technology, that the way it used to be is really changing. I mean, I have a wonderful uncle who's in his 90s, and he is an author, and he has written many books, and he has a book that he has finished. And right now he wants to go the traditional route of finding an agent and a publisher, but it's very, very hard to do that. So in my case, with all these amazing spiritual experiences, I was drawn to a publishing house that really dealt with spirituality and self-help and awareness. And that was Hay House Publishers. But becoming a Hay House author is a process, and it's not a very easy process. Plus, I have heard other authors say that once you sign with a big publishing house, you lose a lot of your rights. They can change your story around. They can do whatever they want. They basically own you. So I decided to look into the self-publishing division of Hay House, which is called Balboa Press. So there was an investment, a financial investment in going with some of these self-publishers. But for that investment, you get some minor editing, you get, your cover, you get, in my case, I got 2 Getty images for the cover. They work on your design. They take care of giving you an ISBN number for an ebook and a hard copy book. In my case with Balboa Press, my book is published and can be sold at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and the Balboa Press website. So you can look up, wherever you are in the world, you can look up self-publishing companies. And there's even people that will rate them for on a scale of 1 to 10 or something like that of, workability with them. So, but I chose to work with Balboa Press, and people have, with any publishing house, there's pros and cons, and everyone has their own unique experience. It's just like I have this favorite restaurant in St. Croix where I live here. They have all you can eat Caribbean lobster. I love it. I've had wonderful experiences there. Every single time I've connected with the owners. I love every meal that I get from there. I don't always, but usually get the Caribbean lobster. There are other people that have gone to the restaurant and have not had that great of an experience. So I think we all, you can't really, you have to experience something for yourself. And, so just like the restaurant analogy with publishing houses, you have to kind of go with what works for you. And so I chose to go that route. I probably will not use them for the other books that I have going, because I just feel that poetry probably would I don't see many poetry books with Balboa Press or Hay House, where this book might, God Came to My Garage Sale fit very well there. Another thing I'd like to share with your viewers and your listeners is consider getting involved with anthology books. An anthology is a book where you have 10 to 30 different authors contributing to a book. And again, you have to have some little bit of a financial investment. It can range from $300 to $1,000. Usually it's around there. But the benefit of an anthology book is you contribute a chapter or a story. You only worry about your story and your chapter. And then the person who compiles the anthology, they do all the promotion. All of the ones I've been involved in are bestsellers. So they do all of whatever needs to be done to get it to a bestseller status. They take care of entering you for awards. Like in my case, God Came to My Garage Sale. It won it's over here, I guess. It won the 2020 Best Books Award that was put on, by a company. And I entered that contest just because it looked like a neat contest. I didn't think that I would win anything, but sure enough, I won, which was great. And so you just never know. But if you get involved in anthology books, they take care of all the publicity and all of that. You just get to contribute your chapter or story. And then one thing leads to another. You end up like when another door opens, and you meet people through that. And so, like, for example, I'm in Blue Talks. Blue stands for Business, Life, and Universe. So Blue Talks presents. I was asked to be in this anthology. I'm in the one of the volumes. I'm in volume, I'm trying to remember. I think I'm in volume 2. And, I just heard about that actually through James Redfield, the man that endorsed my book. I heard about Blue Talks and, Corey Poirier, and, I really was interested. So I contacted him. I found his book. I read his book. I loved it, got connected with him. And because of that, this fall, I'm speaking at Columbia University in New York City. So because of your involvement with different things, doors open up. And so I would recommend for people that are interested in writing and being an author, check out anthology, opportunities, because that's been a lot of fun. But now I'm at the point where I'm just doing my own writing, mostly the poetry book. And I haven't yet figured out how I'm going to publish that one yet. I just don't know yet. I'm just focusing on the writing of it. And I will get to that, when the time comes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as you said, networking is very important. Yeah,
yes.
One door opens another door. And
right.
Like I didn't know about the anthology until now that you told me.
Yeah.
This is a great idea, and you start like from small things, and then soon you can
right. Like even you, Lucia, you're doing interviews on your other podcast called The Relatable Voice, which is just an amazing podcast. Then you're involved here with Uncut, which is part of World Authors. You could choose at one point, if you wanted to, with all the guests that you have had, you can ask them to contribute a chapter. And you could put together your own book if you wanted to, where you would, of course, have your own chapter and your beginning introduction, and you could call the shots on everything. on what the book looks like, what the topics are. But you could piece together a lot of your guests. And so, I mean, there are a lot of opportunities that, to put something together. You don't have to, in your case, you're meeting so many different people with your interviews. That might be very cool to have, everyone contribute.
Yeah.
And you put together a big book.
Yeah, I had thought about it before. It's in my plan.
Right.
Maybe eventually, yeah, it's something that I'm thinking about. But what I started doing is I'm publishing articles about them on my blog.
Right.
So
right.
People who goes to my website, they can have the chance to listen to the conversation, read about the authors, see their books, their website.
Right.
I'm super happy with that because if the authors are happy, I'm happy, and people that are reading who are reading.
Definitely. And, for people that are listening, if you have not checked out Lucia's podcasts and her website and her blogs, please check it out. It is just absolutely amazing. So Lucia has gone from, being an author of a children's book, a series of books, Zoe the Crab and lots of other things, to now getting involved with other authors and podcasts. And it's just, you've done amazing things, just expanding what you are all about. And so I would just encourage everyone to check out your website. It's just amazing.
Thank you. You are there already.
Yeah.
What are the 3 words that defines you? I know it's only like 3 words cannot tell a lot about you, but if you can say Marni is this or this, what are the adjectives you
give? That's interesting. A lot of people define themselves, by the roles that they play. Like I was a teacher. So if you were to ask me before, how would I describe, what are the 3 words that describe myself? Teacher would be one of them. Mother, most definitely. The biggest job in my life has been mother. Friend, so there are many different ways to answer that question. I'd like to, I don't know, I haven't really thought. I'm just going to be speaking off the cuff here, but I am just a loving soul. So a loving, compassionate human being. That's 4 words, right? No. So I would like to say that, my values are love, compassion, honesty. Honesty is a very big one. And goodness. And goodness is a term I use a lot. And so I suppose if I were describing myself now, either though I'd like to say I'm a writer or an author, I'm just a compassionate human being, just like you and me and everyone else out there. And, I wouldn't say everyone's compassionate. There are some malevolent forces out there, definitely. But how I choose to live my life is through the lens of love, goodness, honesty, and compassion.
Yeah, this defines you, who you are. Through your book, in your books, you are also able to help many people.
I think that all of us have challenges in our lives, and what I was saying before is I happen to be a survivor of domestic violence, narcissist abuse, and parental alienation. Those are very tough things in themselves. But in addition to just losing all the security, my home, my money, everything. But instead of reacting and being negative or feeling sorry for myself or being angry or vindictive, I just choose to live life positively and believe that good will prevail over evil. And I just choose to live my life and respond in a loving, positive way. And I think honesty is a big value with that. And if you stay true to your own values, you can rise above some of these negative challenges. All of us have challenges that we are facing, especially the last couple years, many challenges that we never thought we ever would have to face in our world that we are facing. But we can choose to I wouldn't say just accept what it is, just choose to look at these challenges as life lessons, and that we can really grow from any, negative experience. We can turn the dark into light. And that's something that I'm actually, it comes naturally to me. I've always been this way, but I'm also role modeling for my own children. They're adult children, but I'd like them to be able to handle life's challenges with positivity and love and goodness. And I just think that's a good message and a good way to live.
And it's difficult when you are in a situation, like sometimes it's difficult to leave the comfort zone. Yeah, sometimes people stay there because they are afraid of the future or the unknown. Yeah,
right. Change is very hard for people. I actually am aware of a young man who is leaving an abuser. Okay. And he made this choice on his own to up and change and move many hundreds of miles away from this abuser. You never can totally escape an abuser if you're related to them, if you have children with them, if you, if they're part of your family or something like that. But, sometimes taking a stand and moving far away and realizing I need to take control of my circumstances, and sometimes the physical distance can help give you a chance to start over again. So change is very hard, though, like you were saying. So for this young man, it's very hard, but it's also very exciting to start a new life and to be able to decide who you want to let into your daily world. So no longer does this person have to deal with, weekly, daily, confrontations and that type of thing. They just don't want to do that in their world anymore. And so change is hard. I made a big change. I moved from the Chicago suburbs to the Caribbean. Now, I've always loved traveling. My life partner, Rick, and I have traveled a lot, and we enjoy meeting people from all over the world and seeing beautiful locales and just other people's way of life. But for us, the Caribbean really was calling us. The ocean, the skies, the fresh air. This is what I wanted to do, but change was really hard. There's a lot that goes into, even though it was positive and exciting, it still is a change, and that is really hard for people to do. So I think what I would recommend for people that need to make a change is just really think about what your core values are. What do you believe in? What kind of life do you want to live? And take control of that. We only have one life on earth here. Why not do something that brings you joy and gives you a sense of peace?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you define success?
How do I define success? Wow. At one point, I defined it, I suppose, of earning a certain degree or being successful at a career. I could even define the book as successful, that it won an award, but I don't know. I think success is more intrinsic. So for me in my life right now, success, I think, is just coming to terms with my world, my reality, taking ownership in my involvement of my history, and making a conscious effort to live a self-actualized life. And so I guess I would define success as just, for each person, it's individual, but to try to live an authentic life that where you're true to your values and your goals, and hopefully have fun along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, maybe it's inner peace. Yes.
Yeah. Inner peace is very important. Yeah.
And Marni, please show your book again for
Sure.
our listeners. We can find it on Amazon and other places, but can you give us your website?
Sure. Well, my website is actually the title of the book. So www.godcametomygarage.com. So that's my website. On my website, you can see this book as well as the other books that I've co-authored. There's a menu bar at the top, and under happenings, you will see all the different things I'm involved in with podcasts, magazine articles, interviews, book signings, that type of thing. So under happenings, that's on my website. This book can be found at barnesandnoble.com as well as the Balboa Press website. So, but probably just going to my website. I'm no longer on social media. I know a lot of authors are, but I enjoyed being on there, but I found I needed to spend more time writing. So I chose to take a break from social media, from Facebook, Instagram, that type of thing, so I could focus on the writing. And that's really freed up a lot more time. Plus everything that I, am involved in is on my website. So you can find it there, but that's how you can find me. And hopefully, hopefully in the next year, I'll be able to put at least one of my poetry books out. And so I can, I'm just, I'm not done with that yet. I'm working on those now.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I'm reading your book. I'm like super excited to see how it ends. And I have to tell you that it's really, really good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I know that you've shared with me that even just reading my book has helped open up your worldview to signs and synchronicities all around you. And that's kind of one of the goals I have of the book, is to help people realize that there are signs all over. And you might think it's a coincidence, but then again, if it happens over and over, there might be more to it.
It's not coincidence. Now I'm sure it's not. There is no coincidence. Because of your book, I started paying attention about other things. And let's see in the end how it is going to end. But I'm super happy. And Marni, thank you very much. I'm happy to have met you. I'm happy because I'm having this amazing chance to learn new things, and your generosity, because you always talk about also my things, I'm
a fan.
Thank you. This
Believe me, I'm a fan. And I hope to come to Spain. I hope to come to Spain. I have plans. I have the airfare and everything for this fall. So hopefully that will work out and we can meet in person. But I definitely feel a connection to you. And I even put it on my website as a soul sister, that we are both authors. We both have a love for life. We both have a good heart. And, that's a nice thing. I wouldn't say it's rare because there's so many beautiful people in the world, but I am so glad that our paths have crossed. And I almost feel that it wasn't a coincidence, that there was some higher happenings going on here.
Yeah, so, I believe so. Good luck with these books and everything you have been doing.
Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor to be on your podcast and then here on Uncut. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank